Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Flame Emperor episode number 346 based on novel. So let's start. What a strange place, there are no guards here. Xiao Yan and Yu came to the north of one of the four temples, most likely the place where Li Hun retreated, and immediately said, after entering for a while, eat this thing. After a while, looking at the majestic temple in front of him, on the palm of Yu's hand, a phantom-like medicinal pill was thrown at Xiao Yang. This seal can obviously isolate the influence of some ghosts on the two. Xiao Yang swallowed it without any hesitation, his figure turned into a smear of black flame, and entered the temple one after another with Yu directly. Try it out. There are 4 temples above the desert hinterland, the northernmost temple. What a weird temple. There are so many crystals and xeon aura pervading, it seems that this is the right place. Han Mietian stood in front of Xiao Yang and the two of them and rushed into the temple first. A passage, and the inside of the passage is paved with countless swallowing flame crystals, and he couldn't help muttering. Under the coverage of these crystals, there seems to be a special wave. The black breath was wrapped in black robes, and at this time Sol Mietian was always vigilant. Hey! With a sound, Sol Mietian went directly to the core of the temple. At the core of the temple, this is a huge closed space. Most of the space is flat ground, but the prohibition contained on the ground makes Sol Mietian feel a shock, and somewhere in the flat ground is sunken, and there is a small blue island like a lake. The azure island was surrounded by azure water. When soul destruction Lian saw the azure water for the first time, a cold aura was involuntarily produced in the body. It actually formed a crystal wall directly. A beautiful sedan chair was wrapped by a crystal wall, and inside it, a pink flame flickered slightly. Because of the red flame-swallowing crystals and the exquisite sedan chair, the pink flame looks extremely mysterious, and the flames rise like a pink liquid that slowly spreads, and there is a faint energy ripple all over the body, like water waves. And the blue water around the island tightly wrapped the island, like protection, but also to cover up the breath of the holy flame. Where's the Lord of Li Sol? Sol Mietian was hiding under the black robe at this time, and a pair of twinkling eyes in the black robe couldn't help but stare at the island in front of him. Hihi, a guy like you came here. After a while, countless fiery red swallowing crystals erupted in bright pink liquids in the entire space, directly imprisoning and shrouding the space, with a touch of incomparable. The sound emerges like the master of this space, Lord Li Sol. Although Sol Mietian had expected it for a long time, he still muttered when he looked at the illusory figure on the island. The eyesight is good, but it's a pity that today's you will completely fall here. The illusory black shadow smiled slightly, and he naturally noticed the fiery gaze in the soul-destroying black robe, but at the same time, Li Solji there was also a majestic killing intent in the main body. Acacia and broken enteritis is already the biggest secret. This kind of action of the soul destroying the sky is tantamount to sending death. Soul Heaven Sword Lock. Seeing that the entire void was completely imprisoned, Sol Mietian didn't hesitate. The black robe was torn open, revealing the countless black lines attached to the surface of his soul body, which were particularly eye-catching like worms. Oh! Ancient black marks. Although the illusory Lord of Souls was surprised, a gloomy sneer emerged from the corner of his mouth after a while, and even the dark ghost in his body rushed out like a flood. The Master of Soul Li was already in a state of extreme tension. With the addition of his 8-star fighting immortal level power, it was naturally easy to deal with soul destruction. However, what the Lord of Soul Li didn't expect was that the 7-star fighting immortals in the soul destruction heaven area could actually enter here. If it wasn't for some unusual means, I'm afraid there was a traitor from the West Temple, and it was obvious that this guy belonged to the former. The guy from the Ghost Kingdom is also trying to interfere with the affairs of my soul domain. After I succeed in breaking through, I will definitely go to the Ghost Kingdom and let you know what real power is. Boom! Roaring like a fierce beast, the swarthy ghostly energy all over the Lord of Li Sol's body revealed the coercion of the superior. This aura doesn't look like something that can be possessed by the perfection level of 8-star Dozian. So, dark patterns, welcome my king. An angry roar emerged like thunder, so the countless patterns on the soul body of Sol Mietian were violently burned by a faint light, and even the power of Sol Mietian suddenly disappeared, but there was a more powerful force awakened in its body. Lord of Soul Li, I haven't seen you for a long time. After a while, Sol Mietian's body disappeared completely, replaced by a black gas hidden in the black blood mist. The king of 10,000 ghosts. It's really worth it to let your own body come here at the cost of a big soul. Looking at the gloomy atmosphere in the blood mist, the master of the soul sneered. Each other. As long as it's all worth it, what's the harm in sacrificing some chips? A disapproving voice came from Zaidu in the blood mist. The king of Ghost. The ruler of the Ghost Kingdom among the many regions of the Ghost world. Bring it on. Let me see 8-star fighting immortal perfection level Soul Master, how tyrannical it is. If you lose today, I will take over Li Huanyu instead of you. As soon as the voice fell, the black air in the blood mist suddenly turned into a blurred figure, the pale palm directly from the depths of the sleeve, the blood mist surged, and a fierce palm print of 1,000 feet, facing the master of Li Soul took a photo. Looking at such a tyrannical blow, the Lord of Li Soul didn't do anything, just a casual glance, and the gloomy ghost energy around him directly drowned it and completely swallowed it. Your strength is only in the middle of the 8-star fighting immortals, and the supreme ruler of the dignified Ghost Kingdom is coming. Isn't this self-defeating? Without any intention to take action, the Lord of Li Soul still stood silently, while the gloomy his eyes slowly stared at the king of 10,000 ghosts who was also surrounded by ghosts in front of him. Yeah, so I specially prepared a big gift for you. I hope you will like it. The voice fell, and clouds of black mist burst out from the body of the king of ghosts like spring water, filling the entire closed temple with ease. At this moment, it was extremely gloomy, like a real doomsday scene. I hope you don't let me down. Seeing the Wangue king's means, Lord Li Soul glanced at the pink flame and the exquisite sedan chair under his feet. The two were slowly merging. At the last moment, he looked a glance outside the hall said. It seems that the Lord of Li Soul is deliberately delaying time, and he doesn't seem to be afraid of the king of 10,000 ghosts or other powerhouses destroying his breakthrough. Instead, it is more like the Lord of Li Soul is waiting for something. At this time, standing in the temple, outside the two-person space, there are only Xiao Yang and the two. It seems that the voice of the Master of the Soul is the same as what it said to Xiao Yang and the two. Master Li Soul, this is a feast specially prepared for you, enjoy it slowly. The king of 10,000 ghosts turned into a supreme dim light, and the dim light completely wrapped his body, but he was only able to see one of the dim light. On top of the white jade-like body, countless dense black monsters wriggled, and between the wriggling, there were waves of trembling evil forces. At the same time, a smirk spread out above the dim light, like the sound of the sky, and even countless strange black mists, which completely shrouded the retreat space of the entire Master of Souls. Humph! Lord Li Hun snorted coldly, still unmoved, standing high in the center of the island, watching the feast of the King of Ghosts. The Lord of Li Soul knew that although the strength of the 10,000 Ghost King was tyrannical, for the current self, it was somewhat insufficient. Today's self has already absorbed the source of acacia and broken enteritis, and he is only one step away from swallowing it perfectly before he can ascend to the holy realm and enter the coveted realm of reincarnation. Boom! The boundless black mist was like a demon dog crawling out of the smelting hell. Just after it emerged and spread, it was a gust of gloomy wind, and even an extremely evil aura, suddenly turned directly into 1,000 feet. Demon dog giant beast, with a ferocious face and a domineering breath. Just based on this. Looking at the evil dog giant beast transformed by the evil force of thousands of meters in front of him, the corner of the mouth of the Lord of Li Soul laughed, and a touch of arrogant disdain emerged. 10,000 ghosts, dogs, and beasts, tear him apart for me. Seeing that the Lord of Li Soul remained unmoved, the 10,000 ghosts king finally gave an order to the evil creature. A series of strange voices swept through the evil creature, and immediately the whole body was like a furnace, and countless black chi roared, and its speed became faster, suddenly facing the small place where the Lord of Li Soul was located. The island exploded. Chaos. Reversal. The Lord of Li Soul seemed to have been prepared for a long time. Under the dark shadow, the old palm was raised, and a touch of silver energy instantly diffused out. Bang bang bang! The power of the silver space system just touched the evil creature, and suddenly bursts of harsh sounds filled the entire space, like the sound of metal colliding. After Shun-Chi, the evil creature of thousands of meters was directly sucked into the space crack by the silver space power, and would not show up for a short time. This is the fluctuation of reincarnation. Seeing that the Lord of Souls easily resolved his strongest attack, the King of 10,000 Ghosts in the Black Mist couldn't help but exclaimed in shock. No one knows about some collusion and cooperation between Ghost Kingdom and Dookie Continent Soul Clan, but in any case, the combined strength of their two forces has not reached the level of threatening the Lord of Souls, and now they are willing to use many resources of Ghost Kingdom to enter here. I originally thought of hunting the Lord of Li Soul, so that I could smoothly enter the reincarnation. But now it seems that the current Lord of Li Soul has touched the reincarnation. Although there is no real reincarnation, But the powerhouse who touches reincarnation is different from the 8 starfighting immortals. At this moment, RAO is the greedy attitude of the king of 10,000 ghosts, and he can't help but be afraid, and a retreat is born. If you have any other tricks, use them, otherwise you will have no chance. After the attack of the king of ghosts, the Lord of Li's soul slapped it, and then a black light pattern quietly permeated the entire void on the body. The countless black chi in the void of the retreat place suddenly shattered, as if the residual ice had touched the raging fire, vulnerable to a single blow. This guy, the breakthrough time is so fast, it seems that it is really a miscalculation. Seeing that the Lord of the Soul is so arrogant, but there is still a harmless smile on the corner of his mouth, the king of 10,000 ghosts also smiled. Stand up. The Lord of Li's soul is the real overlord of the 3 core regions of the ghost realm, but why is he the king of 10,000 ghosts? I didn't want to use that thing, but unfortunately, if I was hesitating, I'm afraid I would also be in danger because of it, so. After a while, the king of 10,000 ghosts, who was hiding in the black mist, did not hide it. The black mist dissipated and left by himself. Came out. You're actually a human? Seeing the king of 10,000 ghosts showing his true face for the first time, Lord Li's soul couldn't help but be a little surprised. My plan this time was not aimed at the king of 10,000 ghosts, but who knew that he would attract him? You must know that the king of 10,000 ghosts is uncertain in the ghost world, one of the most mysterious guys, even the Lord of Li's soul haven't seen it with my own eyes. It's a feast. 10,000 ghosts come out, 10,000 ghosts worship. Li Hun, this is your sin and your fate. As soon as the voice fell, the figure of the king of 10,000 ghosts completely disappeared here, but one after another soul body emerged uncontrollably. No one knows where they came from, but these guys who emerged, above the illusory spirit body, stared at the master of the soul with scarlet eyes, wishing to eat it raw. Obviously they have a deep understanding of it. The resentment seems to have an inescapable relationship with the Lord of Li's soul. Li Hun, I worked for you and went through untold hardships, but you actually abandoned me and killed me in the end. Do you know the feeling of loss when you are trusted and fall into in an instant? Ads by Pub Future. Master, I have spent all my energy for your future dominance, but in the end why did you want to obliterate my entire family? Is it just that we leak the news? Palace Master, we want you to give me justice. The voice of resentment. It seems that the fall of these tens of thousands of souls and ghosts has a deep relationship with the Lord of Li's soul. Among them, there are many strong people who follow the Lord of Li's soul from birth to death and fight for the hegemony of Li's soul domain, but they have all fallen now. It is only because of the special power of the Ghost Kingdom that they can see the sun in a special attitude. Who? You still have the last trace of strength left, then I will tell you. The struggle for power requires blood to flow. You used to be my most loyal subordinates, but for the sake of the entire Li's soul realm, I have to give up you. In my mind, you will always be the most perfect subordinates. Everything you do is for our Li Huanyu, but in the end, you cannot be recognized by Li Huanyu's companions, and you will even be hunted down for it. But I, Li Hun, are willing to swear by my soul power that you will always be my most loyal and tyrannical subordinates. Li Huanyu is proud of having heroes like you. Hungu remains the same. The hoarse voice lost the dignity of the past, but more like a communication between brothers, warm but not graceful. Master. Listening to Master Li's remarks, the resentment of these tens of thousands of ghosts suddenly became thinner. With a sound, somewhere in the space, an embarrassed figure said in a panic. These guys, but the entire Ghost Kingdom and the Soul Palace have searched for the results of hundreds of years together, in order to use this kind of resentment today to obliterate the Lord of Souls under their own faults. But what Ling Wangue King did not expect was that such a terrifying attack, such a complete plan, was actually cracked by the Lord of Souls in just a few words. In this case, it's too cheap for you. The melting pot of 10,000 ghosts, explode it for me. Looking at the dwindling ghosts, the king of 10,000 ghosts gave an order. At that time, a smell of gunpowder was completely ignited, and this space was about to face an unprecedented crisis. The strength of the Lord of Li's soul is sky high, and the chosen retreat place also has many restrictions, but the combined explosion of these tens of thousands of ghosts, such a dangerous force, is far from 8 starfighting immortals can resist. The furnace of 10,000 ghost. Bloom. The king of 10,000 ghosts, who was in a panic, suddenly distorted his delicate face like a beautiful human man, and then roared. He knew that he couldn't let the master of Li's soul eliminate all the resentment power of tens of thousands of ghosts so smoothly, otherwise what awaited him would be failure. Boom. As the voice of the king of ghosts fell, a black flame appeared out of nowhere in the entire void, and soon the countless ghosts that had already permeated the entire space were shrouded as if they were being captured. Focus on yourself and put everything into it. The 10,000 Ghost Melting Pot. This is the unique power of the Ghost Kingdom powerhouse. It can gather all the soul power together, and use the melting pot to refine and self-explode, and burst out the destruction wave that is not lost to the top fairy art. The power of fairy art has long been reached. It is enough to threaten the 7-star or even 8-star level, and the power of the top immortal arts, and enough to obliterate the real 8-star fighting immortal powerhouse. Even the master of the soul can only temporarily retreat. The evil furnace transformed by the black flames is about several meters in size, but it hides an extremely mysterious evil aura. From the outside, it seems to be indestructible, and every time a ghost is absorbed, the black flame furnace becomes the extremely weak dark evil lines on the top will deepen a lot. Once the dark evil lines around the black flame furnace are completely bright, I am afraid that the 8-star Doshian perfect powerhouse can only fall below. After all, that level of power, heaven and earth can learn. You did remind me a lot of past events. In return, I will show you what a real feast is. Generals, this time, your efforts and sacrifices have not been in vain, because you will eventually witness the rebirth and transformation of a supreme being here. Reincarnation. The unruly and domineering arrogance, from the mouth of the Master of the Soul. A moment later, the body of the Master of the Soul, directly and slowly left the island, slowly floating in the air, and immediately there was no ghostly wrap around him. Instead, it is a touch of pink energy, like an elf's, surrounding the Lord of Li Soul, with him as the main and the king. It seems to be cheering and cheering for the return of the king. No! Impossible! Break me! Seeing Lord Li's actions like this, the king of 10,000 ghosts roared frantically as if he had seen some extremely terrifying scenery. These ghosts do have a deep relationship with the Lord of Li souls, but they are dead souls. It is precisely because of some special methods of the king of ghosts that they have come to life in a very special way, and their strength has long been lost. If it wasn't for the deep resentment for the Lord of Li soul in their hearts, but this resentment dissipated without a trace after the Lord Li's words. Even watching the Lord of Li soul who was about to devour the holy flame and began to evolve, these ghosts have a tendency to help Jew and abuse them, and the king of 10,000 ghosts is in chaos. Boom! After a few breaths, the dazzling black flame furnace was condensed, and the power of countless ghosts was completely fused and refined. At this time, the 10,000 ghost furnace was only the size of a palm, and the whole body was filled with a chilling horror. Fluctuating, the whole body of the black flame furnace is wrapped by an invisible force, and even the void collapses instantly. Its power is no less than a top fairy technique. Once it explodes in the retreat here, let alone the desert hinterland, or even the entire the West Shrine will be affected. The Lord of Souls. Go to hell. Looking at the increasingly mysterious Lord of Souls, the king of 10,000 ghosts did not hesitate at all. When he raised his hand, the dazzling black flame furnace in his hand, with bursts of evil aura, directly faced the Lord of Souls. Projected away. Like a meteorite landing, the aura of such power and such aura makes one's pupils shrink tightly. Boom! A deafening voice filled the entire void. At that time, the black flame melting furnace roared away like a vicious dog at the Lord of Soul Li. King of 10,000 ghosts, don't do unnecessary struggle. Today is the day of my breakthrough. You should stay and witness the birth of the superpower. The Soul Master smiled slightly. His laughter was quite soft, but it was full of awe. I'll see how you can resist my attack. Listening to the understatement of the Lord of Souls, the King of 10,000 ghosts still said without giving up. Even though the power of the 10,000 ghosts furnace has been weakened by the Lord of Souls, at this time, for this guy, it still has the power of destruction. Lovesickness, the power of lovesickness. Lord Li Soul raised his brows slightly, and while he spoke, bursts of pink power ripples slowly emerged from under his feet, and immediately decorated the entire void. The pink acacia power just emerged, and it was like a viscous liquid, which directly wrapped the black flame furnace, making it unable to move at all. The power of holy flame? How is that possible? Watching the pink energy ripples spread, a breath of awe filled the entire void. Looking at the black flame furnace that combines the power of tens of thousands of ghosts to be so unbearable hit, the look of the king of 10,000 ghosts has finally become ugly wow. Without any hesitation and indecision, the king of 10,000 ghosts knew that this time he could only return without success. Due to his own reasons, the Lord of Li Soul can only become the purest soul body and cannot condense the human body, but this is also doomed that he can only devour two holy flames that ghosts can devour in his life. Beyond this category, The strength of the Lord of Li Sol is already recognized by the Lord of the Thousand Worlds at the perfect level of the 8-star fighting immortal. Once he has mastered a holy flame, his power will take a qualitative leap. After a while, the black flame furnace and the pink power gently flew towards the body of the Lord of Li Sol, and it was obvious that they wanted to devour the black flame furnace and turn it into nourishment for their own promotion. Not good. Seeing such a cunning master of Soul Li, the King of 10,000 Ghosts finally lost his voice in horror. Until now, King of 10,000 Ghosts knew that he was tricked by Master of Soul Li. It seems that the evolution of swallowing has been going smoothly, but this is all the Master's strategy. It seems that the Master of the Soul needs something before his own success. After a while, there was no suspense in the battle between the two. The King of 10,000 Ghosts was easily subdued by the Lord of Li Sol. Unfortunately, the Lord of Li Sol did not intend to obliterate him, but put him aside. The Ghost King always felt that it was not only himself who was calculated this time, but when he thought that in order not to expose himself, let Sol Mietian enter here and extradite him by way of sacrifice, and even paid so much price, in the end. It was only for the dowry of the Lord of Li Sol, and the King of 10,000 Ghosts was completely unhappy. Here is the place where the Master of Soul Li retreats, so be careful. For a while, with the end of the battle between the Master of Soul Li and the two, the figures of Xiao Yang and the two also came here together. The real highlight kicked off. What a terrifying space. He had just broken through the perimeter of the northernmost shrine in the desert hinterland and entered the retreat of the Lord of Souls. Looking at the dark passages around the walls, Xiao Yang's heart was filled with horror. The void here is filled with an extremely terrifying imprisoning force, which makes the flame power in Xiao Yang's body disperse a hint of fear. Lord Li Sol is very careful. He divides his breath into 4 parts and distributes them in 4 temples in the hinterland of the desert. If it weren't for you, I'm afraid we would waste a lot of time. He glanced at the dark walls around him and whispered. The entrance to the northernmost temple is quite strange. It was Xiao Yang who finally used the power of holy flame to break open, but there is no difference here. The figures of the two walked away from the depths with extreme vigilance. Don't talk, be careful. The aura of the Lord of Soul and holy flame is even stronger. After Xiao Yang finished speaking, a trace of grey flames covered his figure, and then he cautiously walked towards the depths of the temple. This time, if it doesn't work, let's be benevolent. It's not a waste of time for us to get to know each other. Seeing Xiao Yang's serious expression, Yue smiled quietly, and immediately followed, as if he was deciding to enter here. Yue just said holding the heart of mortal death, and what Xiao Yang said was right. Yue did indeed have enough treasures to attract the Lord of Li Sol or to threaten him. The two looked vigilant, and after walking cautiously for dozens of minutes, a shockingly huge void slowly appeared in sight. The place where the Lord of Souls retreats should be here, Xiao Yang said solemnly, looking at the strange void in front of him. The space in front of him is endless, and above the void, there are countless red crystals paving the way, which is extremely shocking and dazzling. Most of the power of flame is isolated in the red crystals, so that the power of fire attribute the fighting power is greatly reduced here. This is swallowing flame crystals. After a while, seeing so many swallowing flame crystals, Xiao Yang couldn't help frowning and wondered, so many swallowing flame crystals were not good for his battle. The function of swallowing the flame crystal is to absorb the power of flame. To a certain extent, if fighting in this space, for Xiao Yang, the fighting power will be weakened a lot. The space here is sealed, you can only enter but not go out. Yue's beautiful eyes were looking at the center of it through countless red crystals, and the passage behind him was also completely closed at this moment. Obviously there was no more any way out. There, at this time, a pink energy halo completely paved the way, and even a terrifying aura that surpassed the heavens and the earth spread out. Ying, bless me. Xiao Yang put his palm on his chest with a dashing smile, and a trace of warmth continued to overflow, even shaking. Obviously, even Mu Ying's holy flame heart was trying to stop Xiao Yang. Go, because that kind of power is not something that Xiao Yi can contend with. Let's go. Xiao Yang let go and smiled. Obviously he had already made a decision in his heart. Xiao Yang's tyrannical soul perception power made Xiao Yang clear that the pink halo at the core of this space was the power of acacia broken enteritis, and the place wrapped inside it was a touch of the strongest that was comparable to the sky. Without any thought at all, Xiao Yang knew that this was the place where the Lord of Li Sol retreated, and the most powerful person in the pink halo was only the Lord of Li Sol. This space is incomparably huge, and the countless red flame-swallowing crystals seem to contain strands of pink liquid. Obviously, they have absorbed countless holy flame power, and in the center of the space, there is a lake that is not too huge. The lake is about a few hundred meters in size, but the water is eerily black, and the black is extremely cold. It seems to contain some kind of suffocating strange power. He's in there. I can vaguely sense that you still have a lot of things to do. It's not worth it to die like this. Why don't you forget it? The two of them stood in front of the lake and asked quietly, "The Lord of the Soul is very strong, but I don't know where I got the confidence from. I think I will definitely be more tyrannical than him in the future. And this time, it's not just for me, but also for a girl who's been waiting. I hope that I have failed her too much. I hope that this time, I will make up for all my debts." Xiao Yang didn't know why Yue seemed to have changed after entering here. That playful girl with azure blue hair, a trace of grief poured into the tip of her nose. I had just met with Mu Yingying before. Xiao Yang knew that at that time he was not in love with Mu Yingying, but it was definitely not perfunctory and a friend, but only after Mu Yingying sacrificed, did Xiao Yang realize that it is not only love, but also a responsibility and a responsibility. Xiao Yang stood gently on top of Yang Yangjing, looking at the black lake water indifferently, then his palm suddenly lifted, and a flaming palm print roared away at it. A strange voice emerged from the lake, but Xiao Yang's flame attack was instantly extinguished like a moth to a flame. You must know that the flame Xiao Yang uses now is an immortal fire, and the power of an immortal fire is so vulnerable under this black lake water, which makes Xiao Yang have to be dignified. This is the Forbidden Lake. The lake has the mysterious power to cut off all the breath of life. If you want to enter it, you can only use suspended animation or a pure soul body. Yue looked at Xiao Yang's appearance and said, "In that case, let's do it. I also really want to see how shocking the way the Lord of Souls devours is." As the voice fell, 3-color holy flames filled Xiao Yang's body, completely covering Xiao Yang's life aura, like a dying man. "Normal people. Let's go." The two looked at each other and immediately sank into the Forbidden Lake. Bang bang bang. Just after entering the Forbidden Lake, a bone-piercing cold spread throughout the body, causing Xiao Yang to shiver. Even as the swimming distance increased, Xiao Yang's heart suddenly throbbed contraction, as if receiving some fatal stimulus. "Resist me." Aware of such a strange power in the Forbidden Lake, Xiao Yang burst out with the power of surging flames, resisting it. The two of them gritted their teeth and walked towards the small island within the Forbidden Lake step by step. Is this the retreat of the Lord of Souls? After a few minutes, the two walked directly over the barrier of the Forbidden Lake and entered the small island surrounded by a pink halo. Just after entering here, Xiao Yang and the two stood on the edge, and the construction of the island here is like a huge pentagram. At the center of the island, a beautiful sedan chair wrapped in countless patterns came into sight. In addition, on some rocks on the island, a handsome man like a human being was shackled by a touch of pink energy, and he was firmly fixed in place. This is, the Ghost Kingdom saves all ghosts. Suddenly, Yue looked at the young man who was bound to death and lost his voice. It was a man wrapped in surging black mist. His dark and arrogant pupils stared at the center of the island, and his dark eyes were full of madness. Although he was bound to the death by the pink shackles, the breath revealed from his body turned out to be an 8-star fighting immortal. The Ghost Kingdom saves the Ghost King? 8-star fighting immortals. Master of the Soul Palace? Instead of looking at the strange pink light above the island, Xiao Yang stared at the strange man who was bound, shocked. According to Xiao Yang's information, the Ghost Kingdom and the Soul Clan have an inescapable relationship or cooperation, and once they find the master of the Ghost Kingdom, the king of 10,000 ghosts, I am afraid that they will be able to ask some secrets about Xiao Yang. Xiao Clan's secret. This problem has plagued Xiao Yang for decades. Furthermore, how could a mere disciple of the Soul Academy, Yue, know the supreme ruler of the Ghost Kingdom? So all this is their conspiracy, in order to arrest themselves. Thinking of this, Xiao Yang couldn't help but raise a lot of precautions against Yue. The descendants of Xiao Yang, you can smell the disgusting and inferior aura in your body from a long distance. You are still so annoying. It seems that he noticed Xiao Yang's figure and was restrained. The king of 10,000 ghosts sneered and roared at Xiao Yang in the distance. Countless strange black mist burst out from under the black robe, and immediately shot straight into the sky like gunpowder, shooting towards Xiao Yang. Feeling such a surging momentum bursting out of the King Wangui, Xiao Yang's face became solemn for the first time. The 3-color holy flame, the swallowing flame technique, and many other means of fighting the soul were displayed in an instant without any thought. A random blow that was as tyrannical as an 8-star fighting immortal powerhouse, if it was taken lightly, it might be enough to wipe out Xiao Yang. With a sound, the strange black mist directly collided with Xiao Yang's three-color holy flame, and the two immediately stalemate and calmed down. The king of 10,000 ghosts, who is as tyrannical as the kingdom of ghosts, can actually fall into such a state of embarrassment. It's really hilarious. Stabilizing his figure, Xiao Yang clenched his fists tightly, trying his best to calm his breathing. Step by step, he walked towards where the king of ghosts was. Hey, kid, give it up. What you want to know, only you can find it yourself. And I can tell you that the Soul Palace and Soul Clan, even our Ghost Kingdom, are not very clear. Furthermore, although I made some mistakes in this sneak attack, but you're mere 6-star fighting immortal, even 10 lives are not enough to die. Seeing Xiao Yang's actions like this, the king of 10,000 ghosts did nothing but sneered, and immediately looked away from Xiao Yang, raised his head abruptly, and looked at the top of the space with a horrified look that filled his eyes. On Xiao Yang's body, the three colors of holy flames annihilated and rotated, protecting Xiao Yang, and Xiao Yang also temporarily gave up the king of 10,000 ghosts. The 10,000 ghost king and Yu knew each other, and after a balance, the holy flame was more important. The pink light group hangs high like a round of shining sun, and a coercion of heaven and earth diffuses out invisible. Acacia broken enteritis is in the pink light. It seems that we are still a step late. The master of Li Soul has entered the last step. After some investigation, Xiao Yang shook his head helplessly. Even if he possesses the guardian power of Yama, the 10th palace of clan marks, and even the blessings of many holy flames, he cannot break through the pink light group composed of the Lord of Li Soul and Acacia Broken Heart. Looking now, I'm afraid I can only wait. Xiao Yang shook his head with no results. Now, if he rashly shatters the pink light group, he might suffer a huge backlash, and let alone the enormous power required to shatter the pink light group, and since he doesn't know the state of the Lord of Souls, Xiao Yang is helpless for a while. Looks like it's still a step too late. Yu on the side also agreed. Daimu glanced lightly and found that the countless yang-swallowing crystals inside were dimmed, and even the countless mysterious patterns on the exquisite sedan chairs were dimmed. Obviously now the Lord of Li Soul has reached a crucial step. King Wangue, what are you? For a while, Yu slowly walked towards the shackled King Wangue and asked. A direct disciple of the Dean of the Soul Academy? Wn Gui Wang was not surprised when he heard the words, and smiled slightly. Soul Mist is his own name, and this name also exists for some communication with the head of the Soul Academy, so it is reasonable for Yu to know the real king of 10,000 ghosts. How could you? Yu Zaidu asked. All of this is planned by your master. He gave us the detailed map and entry method here, so as to want us to prevent the breakthrough of the Lord of Li Soul. The price is that you have developed a method for ghosts to devour holy flames, but I still underestimated him too much, but in the end I failed miserably. The King of Ghosts sneered, and there was still a touch of rebelliousness in his voice. The power of the Lord of Souls, I am afraid that it has touched the reincarnation now. Even if this breakthrough fails, his power will truly touch the reincarnation. So this time, he succeeded. He listened for a moment, watching the brighter pink light above the sky, a terrifying pressure that surpassed the energy of heaven and earth, slowly permeating, as if some unparalleled Holy Spirit was about to appear in the world. Yeah, he succeeded this time, but it's a pity that there is still me. Listening to Wang Gui Wang's words, Yu couldn't help but laugh. What about reincarnation? His breakthrough came from the research of their Soul Academy after all, and when the research was successful in the end, almost all the strong people in their Soul Academy were wiped out by him, but the Master of Li Soul forgot that the extreme will be the opposite. This method of ghosts swallowing holy flames is an act against the sky, so before the research, her master secretly left behind, so naturally there is a way to deal with it. Forget it. Seeing Yu and Wangue King like this, Xiao Yang also gave up the idea of asking, and looked lightly in the pink light group. At this moment, the entire space, like a heart that has been quiet for a long time, suddenly beats vigorously, and the whole area is filled with a strong unease. Not good, this guy. Looking at the sudden change in the pink light group in the void, the king of 10,000 ghosts suddenly shook, and his pupils shrank tightly. Crash. A burst of pink energy ripples, like a volcanic eruption, suddenly burst out from the edge of the pink light group. Has he succeeded? Looking at this shocking scene, the corners of Yu's mouth became dry, and in the void, a coercion that seemed to be of a superior spread out like the ruler of the heavens and the earth, and immediately opened his mouth with difficulty. No! The Master of Li Soul breaks through. Failed. Looking at this scene, Xiao Yang's expression was full of inexplicable restlessness, and his eyes were fixed on the pink halo. After the terrifying energy ripples dissipated, The illusory soul body of the Lord of Souls was reflected in Xiao Yan's line of sight. On the illusory palm, a delicate pink flame was beating gently. Xiao Yang, I've been waiting for you for a long time. Looking at Xiao Yang, who was surrounded by 3 holy flames below, the master of Li Soul did not show any displeasure. It is as bright as a demon that fell into the abyss. This video will end here.